But it is good to see y'all. If this is your first time with us or you've been out for a little while, I want to catch you up with where we're at because we're in the book of Exodus. We're moving fairly quick compared to Matthew. The reality, of course, is if I just kind of get you where we're going to be today, here's what's happened. We talked our very first week about this. The idea we're introduced to in the book of Exodus is there arose a Pharaoh who did not know the people of God. And we talked about in this moment where they're unknown, where they're in a foreign land and they're struggling. The real beauty is not the fact that they feel lost. The real beauty is that they cry out and God hears them. And we talked about this idea that even though the Pharaoh did not know them, he didn't remember the people, he didn't understand Joseph, he just saw a workforce and a threat that God saw and heard his people. And that just like God saw and heard his people then, he hears and sees us today. We moved forward in that conversation. We talked about the midwives, and this was Mother's Day, and we lifted up this notion that to be someone who is godly, particularly to step into the role of womanhood in the Bible, it means to stand up for what is good and true for those you love. And the element of this we actually went back to a little bit with a pun in Genesis, right? Eve, or woman, is one who is from my side but stands across from me. Literally one who is beneficial at their core, but adversarial when they need to be. A strong woman says you need to hear the hard truth. And we watched as in the middle of this Exodus story, the first two people named are not the Pharaoh. It's not even Moses. The first two people named are the midwives. The least of these in the story. And my phone is ringing. And it's one of our church members. Come on, Gabriel. Okay. Now, with that said, we went through, we looked at the fact that Pharaoh wanted to put to death the firstborn, not the firstborn, but the boys. And these two midwives stood up to him and they spared these children. And one of the children they spared was a young man, became a young man named Moses. And we watched in the process of this, as Moses goes out, he gets called by God. He's struggling with this call. And in the middle of this, he begins to interact with Pharaoh, right? And one of the hard parts about this is we said that we see Pharaoh say, right, like, I'm not going to let you go. And it says that God hardens his heart. And then we see Pharaoh harden his own heart. And the premise of this was really simple. God goes, I'm going to let you see the weight, the heaviness of what's before you. You're going to understand what it's like to lose a workforce. And in the middle of that, we're told that Pharaoh hardens his own heart. That what he did was he turned his heart to stone. He said, I've made up my mind, they're staying. And then you watch as this battle in his heart continues to go onward until eventually God defeats Pharaoh and the people walk out. And this is where we're going to pick up today. And I want to look at the actual Exodus event because there's something really fascinating I think we miss in God's deliverance of his people. So take a look with me, if you will. This is Exodus 13. When Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them by way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. For God said, lest the people change their minds when they see war and return to Egypt. But God led the people around by the way of the wilderness toward the Red Sea, and the people of Israel went up out of the land of Egypt equipped for battle. There's a lot there, but I want us to start with this. When the Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them by the way of the Philistines. The whole implication of this is that this was the normal way they should have gone. This was the easy route. This is the expected route. And I want to start with this idea that God delivers them. He pulls them out. He creates a way forward, but it is not the way that honestly anyone would look at it and go, that's where they should go. There was a clear path. You go towards the Philistines. But God took them in a place that they did not want to go, in a way they were not wanting to go. But I want you to see this. For God said, lest the people change their minds when they see war. The great irony in this is they're equipped for war. They're ready for war. But God, in his wisdom, goes, you don't really know what's in front of you. And sometimes I'm going to lead you on a more difficult path and a harder path, but it's one that you need in this moment. The real beauty of this part of the story is for those who lived there and they're looking at Egypt and they're looking at the Holy Land and they go, well, that's how you get there. And God goes, no, I'm going to throw you a curveball in this moment. I'm going to throw something at you that makes you go, I have it all figured out, and then you shift to, why are we doing this? But I want you to catch that he does this for our sake. That the curveball is given for those who he is leading. You see, the reality is, if I sum this up, I would sum it up this way. Following God sometimes is difficult. It's not easy. The way of the Israelites was not easy. I know this was a celebration. I know this celebration is so big that it becomes the Passover feast, and that's a precursor for Jesus. But they're leaving behind the certainty of food, the certainty of housing, the certainty of a future, even though it was painful, for what was unknown. And God does something incredible. He takes what looks like should be the path, and he breaks it. And he does it for their sake. The last interesting thing in that is that they actually went out equipped for battle. Meaning they knew what they were getting into, but God goes, you don't really know what you're getting into. So even though they thought they were ready, they thought they saw something, they thought they knew something, God goes, I get what's about to happen, and for your sake, this way is going to be harder. Following God often means that he leads us down a path that is more difficult than the path we want. But it's for our sake. Now I want you to catch something because it doesn't stop on this point. The story continues right after that, and here's what you see. And they moved on from Sukkoth and encamped in Etham. Words that mean nothing to us right now. On the edge of the wilderness, and the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them along the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, that they may travel by day and by night. The pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night did not depart from before the people. Right, so he leads them out to these really smaller towns, and he's moving them along his path. But I want you to catch this. The way was difficult and the way was dangerous, but he did not depart from his people. You see, the real reality is if I say, hey, following Christ is hard, following God is hard, you're going to go, yeah. But the joy and the hope comes in the fact that he goes before us, that he does not depart from us in his grace and in his glory. And the beauty of this, right, is that we see not just in the day, but at night, he goes, I'm here, I've got you. And there's a whole danger in moving in the night, the whole danger in this notion that, like, I can see the threats around me in the daytime. We can prepare for a raid because there were raiders. But at night, you're vulnerable. At night, you circle the camp, you have guards on the watch, you're ready because you don't want to be an easy target. And God's going, with my protection, with my presence, you can walk through the dangers of the things around you. And I just want us to catch that though we think somehow following God is going to set right all of these things in our life, and our worries and our concerns, they're going to straighten up, and all of a sudden life gets easier because we're following God, sometimes the difficulties he walks us through are simply to make us line up better where he needs us to be. The real power of this is that he goes, I know where I need to take you. Getting there is going to be tough. So I'll take you the long road for your sake. And if you're like me and you're kind of maybe a little proud because, right, like we can have that, like, Lord, like I love you. Like whatever you say, I'll do it. Maybe we won't call that pride, we'll call it ignorance. Right? Like, I got you, God. You say it. And he's going, I know, John, I know your heart is you say it and I'll go. I know you're dressed for battle, John. But I'm telling you, you haven't seen warfare like this. And I know how far I can push you. And when he takes us to a place we did not want to be, the challenge of this is that he says, man, I'm here. And I'm taking you here to get you where I need to be. And sometimes you're not ready for the things before you, so he takes you around it. To align ourselves up with the God of the Bible is not to make this forward trajectory that does not change in our life, and it's this nice downhill or uphill straight shot. No, it is like a mountain path that winds up and down and takes you left and right, and you sometimes feel like you are further from God or further from your goal than you were the day before. But you may be geographically further from the peak, but you are further on the path that he has written for you. Because he takes you the way he needs to take you. And we can walk this path because he does not depart from us. And I want you to hear that today. That when the life throws at you this curveball and when things are messy and crazy, God has not departed. So that's the first thing I want us just to notice about this departure. But things get really interesting here. In fact, this is a part of the story that actually, as I was reading it again, kind of caught me off guard. Here's what it says. Then the Lord said to Moses, tell the people of Israel to turn back and encamp in front of Pi-Hahiroth, between Medol and the sea, in front of Baal-zephon, and you shall encamp facing it by the sea. For Pharaoh will say to the people of Israel, they are wandering in the land, the wilderness has shut them in, and I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them. And I will get glory over Pharaoh, all of his host, and the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord. And they did so. Now I want you to catch the very first part of the thing that really actually made me pause was the silliness of this. I want you to turn back. You see, we don't know exactly where this place they were at. We haven't found it, but we do know that it was at the very edge of Egypt. That they were out of Egypt's sovereignty. They were like one step from total freedom. We've made it. The pain is behind us. We're here. We've done it. I have been delivered. The Exodus. Go back. You want me to step back towards danger? Like, the beauty of this moment is that they see the goal line 1 foot away, and all of a sudden, it's like the football player who takes a knee. And you watch as a fan, and you go, why didn't you run it in? And God's going, because I'm thinking strategically about what's happening right now. You see, the irony of this, the thing that really kind of pulls this together is it says this, that Pharaoh's paying attention to him. And if you read the rest of the story, some of the verses we left out, Pharaoh's debating, I need to go get him. Look at what I just did. And so what does God do? He goes, I'm not going to lead you into the wilderness and create this like Tom and Jerry Roadrunner-esque chase. I'm going to set you up for battle. Turn around and go back to the danger. And I want you to hear me when I say this. Sometimes following God means that we turn back towards the danger and the risk that was in front of us. That we don't run from things, we run towards where we need to be. Maybe the greatest single example I can give you this in all of history is the martyrs of the church. Whereas persecution broke out, Rome actually stopped persecuting Christians because every time they did, there were more Christians. In fact, there was this saying, which is this, the seed of the church was the blood of the martyrs. Which is this way that Rome admitted every time we killed them, and they would die for their faith, people went, I want to know more about this. You want to fast forward, the time where Christianity has grown the most in history outside of the early church was in the Black Plague. Because as everybody else ran out of cities, Christian missionaries walked into the Black Plague. Sometimes for us to walk where God wants us to walk, it means we avoid the safety and the net that keeps us feeling secure, and we head towards the things that everyone else is afraid of. And I'll come back to that in a second, but I just want you to catch that. The way required danger and risk. And then it even gets a little more absurd before we get to the next point, just because when they camp, he takes them to the edge of the Red Sea, and then he says camp facing the Red Sea. Meaning they set their defenses up towards the shoreline, not towards Egypt. And so what does God say? And if Pharaoh's going to pursue you, I'm going to make him pursue you now. I'm going to put this in front of him again. And you're going to be too right to pass. Following God means sometimes that he takes us and he takes where we're going to be and he puts us in uncomfortable places where it's out of our control and we feel like all of our defenses should be facing this way, and he puts them up and says, you got to let that defense down. If you want me to move, I'll move for you. But if you can't listen, if you can't drop the defense, if you can't turn back, then you're going to end up being chased in the wilderness. But then catch this. For Pharaoh will say to the people of Israel, they are wandering in the land, the wilderness will shut them in, and I will harden Pharaoh's heart. Right, this is God. And he will pursue them, and I will get glory over Pharaoh and his host. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, and they did so. First, just the simplicity of that line, and they did so. These are powerful lines. These are those moments where it's like, I was faced with this consequence, and I felt the weight of everything before me, and I didn't know what to do because I'm stuck. And I heard in that moment 1 second of a still, small voice, and it gave me peace, and it gave me clarity, and I acted. The beauty of this is not that they weren't infighting probably. It's not that they weren't going, Moses, what are we doing? It isn't that we get this voice of unity where all of Israel has a united heart for Jesus. It was that one leader heard the Lord and he said, we're going back. And regardless of the doubt, regardless of the frustration, regardless of all of it, they knew from hearing from God what they needed to do. And God said, I will get glory over the Pharaoh and his host. You see, the real thing, the thing that allows us to walk towards danger and walk towards risk, the thing that allows us to drop our defense and face the shoreline, is that God did not depart from his people. He led them to the edge of Egypt. And he said, hey, we got to go back, but I'm not leaving you. He led them into a place of vulnerability where they could be ambushed, where they had to open their heart and trust and take a step of faith. And in that moment, he goes, but I'm not going to abandon you. I'm with you. I want you to catch this because we've already hit it enough that it should be the central theme. But the thing that allows us to move through difficulty and move into risk and heal from hurt, the thing that allows us to turn back towards danger when we've been beaten by it over and over and over, is not our strength. It is the presence of God in our vulnerability. It is the fact that he will not abandon us. God does not depart from his people. And I don't know what Exodus event you have in your life, but I want you to see this. He will bring you out of it, and you'll think you're home free, and all of a sudden you feel like you're right back in it. He will bring you to a place where everything in you fires up, raise the walls, harden my heart, destroy the things around me, and he will say, that's not the response I'm calling you to. And everything in you will cry out, but God. And he'll say, exactly, but me. Lower the defense, I got it. Turn back, I'm with you. The beauty of our God is that he takes our weaknesses and he turns them into something strong and something that is just breathtaking. The moment you think you are free and you're running from things, you find yourself with the strength to re-enter a fight. The moment you find your defenses are up and hope is lost is the moment you find that you can lower your defenses again and search for peace. Because of God. And there's one more thing I want to take you to, at least on this portion of our conversation. It looks like this. For Pharaoh will say of the people of Israel, they are wandering in the land. The wilderness has shut them in. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart. Right? He will pursue them. And I will get glory over Pharaoh and the host, and the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord. This is where we are. And then take a look at this just a few verses later, verse 10. When Pharaoh drew near, the people of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians were marching after them, and they feared greatly. And the people of Israel cried out to the Lord, and they said to Moses, is it because there are no graves in Egypt that you have taken us away to die in the wilderness? What have you done to us in bringing us out of Egypt? It is not what we said. This is not what we said to you in Egypt. Leave us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians. For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness. That quote at the end actually is a reference back to Exodus 6, the first time Moses shows up. And Moses goes, hey, I got something better for you. God wants to move here. And the leaders of Israel, before they see the signs, go, shut up. It's better to die a servant here than to hope for freedom there. Fear, I will live in, right? I will live in a prison rather than risk what is out and beyond what is uncertain. So Moses, go away. God begins to reveal himself. The people begin to get hope. Things are starting to look good. Maybe there is a light here. Maybe God is moving indeed. Oh my gosh, Moses is winning the battle. Battle after battle with these Egyptians' gods. Yahweh is showing up. He's taking charge. This is it. Tonight's the night. We're leaving the place. God has won. Why are we going back? What do you mean we're putting our defenses against the sea? They're coming. And they entered into a place of hopelessness. And you and I, we sit from a 3,000-foot view and we go, are you fools? Have you not seen what God just did? But the moment I place myself in that story is the moment I realize that I have seen God move my entire life, yet I find myself in moments of hopelessness the same way. That I will forget the 10 plagues and the splitting of the sea. I will forget all of the miracles in front of me, and I will see a problem of hopelessness right in front of me. And I'll cry, great, Lord, is this why you brought me here? It wasn't good enough just to die over there. You just wanted to bring me here to die. See, God led his people into a moment of absolute hopelessness. And I know that some of us feel like we're in a place of hopelessness. And I want us to catch this because hopelessness is something that breaks us. You see, when we feel hopeless, it's when we don't have a way out. When you say, I've tried to figure out this problem, I've tried to pray this, I've tried to chew on this, I've tried to do this thing, and I'm telling you, nothing is working, I'm stuck. And I see the army coming in. I see destruction in front of me. I see the trajectory I'm on. Right? Maybe this is, I can't stop drinking. I know where it's headed, but I love to unwind after a long day like this. Right? Maybe it's something online. There's no kids in here, so maybe it's something, right, that you shouldn't be looking at. And you go, man, like I know that my wife, that my husband, that I should be pouring my attention into them, but it's so much easier to deal with a figment of my imagination than a real person. It is so much easier to pretend there's this beautiful life up here when I have to actually live a real life with real struggles. And I know where that will take me, and I know, honestly, what that will do to my marriage. But I can't stop. I'm hopeless. And God will take us to a place of hopelessness that He alone can deliver us. I want you to catch this. Here they are at the edge of the Red Sea, the people looking hopeless, not knowing what to do, complaining again. Again, for you and I at a distance going, you guys are foolish, but in real life we recognize that we are the Israelites, wrestling with the goodness of God day in and day out. And here's what we get. And the Lord said to Moses, why do you cry out to me? Tell the people of Israel to go forward. Lift up your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide it, that the people of Israel may go through the sea on dry ground. I want to start with just saying, because you already know the big point, God did not depart from His people in a moment of hopelessness. He brought them to the edge of the Red Sea that He could split it and show that I'm the way out of this. But I want to bring you to this in this moment because I want you to see this, right? He goes, man, why are you crying out? Lift up your staff and I'm going to do something. And how often do you and I look up, and we even use language, right? Like, I know God can do all things, but I'm telling you, this is what's about to happen. And what do we do in that moment? Man, we turn and we set our defenses against the wrong direction. And we don't place our hope in God, we place it in ourselves, in one last stand. And in this moment, the beauty of this is that this is not like a meme. Why are you crying out? There is a little bit of a sting. Don't you know I'm here? The pillar's still here. Don't you know I'm here? I've walked you through the wilderness. Don't you know I'm here? I showed up 10 times before this. Don't you know I'm here? I sent you Moses. Don't you know I'm here? I was with Joseph when he arrived. Don't you know I'm here? I created you out of nothing and brought you into life and chose you as my people. Don't you know I walk with you? Why do you cry out? I already have a way. There's a sting in that because we forget who the God of gods is as He sits behind us. And all we see is the problem in front of us. And this is our Red Sea. And then what does God do? He goes, man, take a step forward and lift up your staff, and I'm going to do the rest. And if you've grown up in the church, you know the story. The wind blows, and this is phenomenal, and I'm going to get uber nerdy, but there's a scientific word for this because we've seen it happen, where the wind blows in and will actually push water up into a wall. Now, the biblical story is that it doesn't just happen lightly, it happens immensely. And it's on both sides, and they begin to walk through on dry ground. And as they come through, God lowers the hedge of protection from behind, and the Egyptians begin to pursue, thinking we can catch them and we can finish this fast. And as the Egyptians begin to come in, the water begins to come back, and it swallows up the Egyptian army. And the people of God finish the walk through the Red Sea. But I want you to catch this. They were home free, and God brought them back. They had an imminent threat, and God said, put down your defenses. When the threat got larger, God said, hey, I know it looks hopeless. I have this. God did not depart from His people, and He will not depart from you in your life. That is at the core of the Exodus story. He delivers, and we know He delivers because He is here, and He is with us, and He promises to walk with us. This is kind of the components that stuck out to me, and there's something immense, something beautiful in that, but it raises this weird question, which is, but Lord, you wanted to deliver us, so why? Why would you lead this way? Why would you lead in such a way that puts me at risk and put me in such a way that leads me to hopelessness when, to be honest, you could have just taken me through the Philistines? You could have, okay, we could avoid them, but we made it out. You could have just let me go, and then you could have just put up another hedge, and Pharaoh couldn't get here. We have a way of viewing our life like God serves us like a genie. Right? Like God's primary goal is to ease your burden when you cry out for help. Now hear me on this. I don't think that's wrong in one way. I don't want us to belittle, like, Lord, John said you're not supposed to help me. I'm thinking too small. I want you to catch this. God delivers. He heard his people cry out. But what God does is multifunctional. You see, I think I'm hurt. Here's how I solve the problem. You see, I think here's the obstacle in front of me. Here's how I address it. John thinks singular. And to be honest, John thinks singular and live with the ripple effect around me. God thinks multifunctional. He's seeing every direction. He's working all things for good. So go back and just look through some of these passages, and I'll just pull it up in two quick places. First one is where God hardens Pharaoh's heart. And I will pursue them, and I will get glory over Pharaoh and over his host, and the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord. You see, we talk about hardening Pharaoh's heart again, like this is him damning Pharaoh. But he does this that the Egyptians may know. This wasn't to push Pharaoh away. This was to draw all of Egypt towards him. And it's repeated again just 2 verses later. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have gotten the glory over Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen. And let me say, there's a hard part in this, which is if I believe too much in my own strongholds, God will destroy those so that my only hope left is in him. But there's something significant in this shift. For the Egyptian, they watched the Israelites leave, and they watched the Israelites going, God is delivering us. And we have a way of seeing history like God is just moving me, and he's just delivering me. Like God focuses on just me. Now I want you to hear me on this. Because God is powerful, he sees you as an individual. Because he's multifunctional, he's not just moving for your good, he's moving for the good of everyone. He's trying to win your enemies to the gospel. The people you raise your defense of, the people that you're out to attack, the people you want to say they're of the devil, God goes, I want them here in my kingdom. The whole premise of this was not for the Israelites. He got the Israelites to safety and then sent his people back for the Egyptians. Let me hit this harder. 10 times we see the plagues, and you're going to see it repeated. I think it's 72 times in the book of Egypt, that they will know I am the Lord. That they will know that I am the Lord. You see, when we become God's people, God is working for us, that he will use us to work for others. And oftentimes I find that I am most hurt, most angry, most upset with God when I'm too focused on my own pain, thinking he should be bringing me out the way of the Philistines, the way I should be going, rather than a way which will make him known. And I find myself like the Israelites going, did you bring me here to die? Instead of saying, Lord, I see it. You've been saying it 72 times. Let me be a living sacrifice for you. Let me be someone who points towards Christ in all I do. The difficulty of the path of the Israelites was walked in for the sake of the Egyptians. I want you to catch this. God took his people and gave them something extra difficult so that the people who enslaved, imprisoned, oppressed them could know him. And even when they rejected him, it was not wasted. Because God wants every knee to bow and every tongue to confess. When you and I face an exodus, I want to encourage you that when you don't see the way forward, when you don't know what's going on, it's for the sake of those around you that they may know God. And I want to bring this a little more home. I want to make this hit just a little bit more because there's something big in this. You see, when I talk about the idea that this is for others, I think of the abstract other. But through my suffering, I will teach my kids how to endure. Through my faithfulness, I will teach my children how to be faithful. Through my compromise, I will teach my kids how to sell themselves short. God uses you in your community, in your family, in the place you are, to establish something that points towards Him. And it is our faithful obedience that builds that up into something amazing or diminishes it into something that is broken and beaten. The invitation of the gospel is not just an invitation to follow Him. It's an invitation to become a fisher of men ourselves. And so as we close out, I want you to see this because there's something big in this moment. But Josh, take us to the next slide. Or is that the last? Yeah, perfect. God desires all people to be saved, to come to the knowledge of the truth. And then look at it. So He'll take you in a way that's not easy. He'll take you in a way that's not easy so that other people can be saved. He'll take you in a way that leads to danger, and you'll see it so that other people can be saved. He'll take you to the brink of hopelessness so that others will be saved. You are a testimony to His goodness in your obedience. And all of a sudden, I don't feel really encouraged anymore. I feel like you're like, thanks, John. You're going to take me to hopeless places and risk, and you're going to turn me back to fight. And let me say this. But God will never depart from His people. The reason the Israelites get to look back at the Exodus and celebrate isn't just because they were delivered. It's because God was present in a mighty way. He was present in their hopelessness. He was present in their risk. He was present when they went back to battle. And I want to encourage you that when that is you, when you feel like you're on the front lines and all of a sudden you're back not as a shield against the world, not as something to stop evil. You are back as a witness to the one true God. Making the love of Christ known to your family, to your neighbors, to your place of work. And you can do this because God does not depart from His people. Pray with me. Father, we thank you. We thank you that you are good and true. And I thank you right now that you are slow to anger and you are patient and you are kind and that as broken as we are, that you use us for your glory. You use us for your love and for your story to go out. So, Father, I thank you that you make yourself known first to us and then through us, and that in that process you bring hope to the hopeless, you bring safety in danger, you bring wings that do not grow tired, for you are our refuge. And I pray over our people today, that whatever exodus they are in front of, whatever Red Sea makes them feel hopeless, whatever thing sits and offers destruction that they see, that you have not departed in this, but that you will be glorified and they will find their peace in you. So make yourself known to us. Like a pillar of fire by day and night, show yourself, that we may walk boldly in obedience and see you known to all around us. In Jesus' name, amen.